Hi, I'm Larry Trocha, and I'm here today to talk about training bits and the bitting process, and in particular, snaffle bits. Because when we're training a horse, when we're going to improve a horse's training, most of that training needs to be done with the snaffle bit. Ideally, we get that horse supple, flexible, given to our hands, stopping, spinning, changing leads, everything with the snaffle bit before we transition over to a curb bit. That's ideally. There's exceptions to the rule, but that's the usual case. And the reason for that is because we want to use a non-leverage bit to get that training across, to get those ideas across to the horse, so that it's not so tough on him. If we try to teach all that stuff with the curb bit right from the beginning, it makes it a little difficult for the horse sometimes. The other thing that you want to do is you want to keep your horse's mouth fresh. Because of my website, I get a lot of emails from people saying, Larry, my horse is 9 years old and I trail ride it and I do ranch sorting, and what's the perfect bit for me to use? And the answer to that, no matter how old your horse is or how young he is or what you're doing with him, there is no one bit that's perfect for your horse. If you just use one bit all the time, 9 times out of 10, you just get that horse numb in the mouth. There's exceptions, but for the most part, that's true. And we want to keep a horse's mouth fresh, which means we want to use different bits on him. When we're training a horse and taking him through that snaffle bit stage, there's basically 4 different snaffle bits that I'll use. And I'll switch them whenever I need them. And those 4 snaffle bits are the standard 7/16 inch mouth snaffle bit that you see on colts. And then the second one will be the thin, smooth wire snaffle bit that we'll use to sometimes advance a colt or a horse. And then we'll use the standard twisted wire if we need to. And the next one, the one that has the most bite to it, is the thin twisted wire snaffle. And we'll use that to really advance a horse. Our horse is really numb in the mouth or refuses to get light. That's the bit we'll use. Now, I'm standing here in front of my tack room, and I'm just going to show you some of the bits, those 4 snaffle bits that we talked about, and just kind of give you a quick explanation, show you what they look like, when we would use them. Okay, here is just a standard 7/16 inch snaffle bit. We'll have the camera come in close on the bit itself so you can see it. And it has a bit hobble on it. And it's important to have that bit hobble on it because if you need to pull the horse's head to the side to double him or take his head away, if you don't have that bit hobble on there, you could pull the bit through that horse's mouth if he resists you, okay? So it's important to have that bit hobble on your snaffle bit, all your snaffle bits. And we have a Browband Headstall with a throat latch. I think that's important to have on a snaffle bit. And we have heavy professional leather reins, and it's important to have those heavy, these are 5/8 inch reins. You want to have something with some feel to it. If you're using those real thin, light spaghetti reins, man, I tell you what, you're just handicapping yourself. Need to have the good professional reins. So this is a bit that I would use, on colts or light-mouthed horses. When it's time to advance them, or they're starting to get a little numb in this bit, which could be, depending on the age of the horse and the experience of the horse, which could be anywhere from 7 days to 7 months, before you need to go to something more. But when it is time to go to something more, I go with this thin, smooth wire snaffle. And if the camera comes in close on the mouthpiece, you can see how thin that is, but it's smooth, so it doesn't soar a horse's mouth up. It's not abrasive like a twisted wire is. This is probably my favorite bit for advancing a horse's training. And again, all these snaffle bits are loose ring, which means, see how the mouthpiece slides on those rings? That's what you want. And this also has a leather bit hobble, Browband Headstall. This one's rigged with the German Martingale. And as you can see, the German Martingale is made out of leather. This one's old, it's like 10 years old. And it's the same German Martingale that I have on my website for sale. And the reins are real nice. These have the little rings to adjust the amount of leverage you have. And when you buy one of these, it comes with the reins and the martingale and the snaps, the whole deal. And this is probably my favorite training aid. If I just had one training aid to choose, this would be it. Now, the one question that I get about using the German Martingale, people ask, well, Larry, I know it works great. You know, I've seen you use it. But if I use it on my horse, you know, I have to use it all the time. You know, will he get accustomed to it and I'll be forced to use it? Is it like a crutch? And you know, the answer to that is no. It's just a tool to help a horse learn to give to your hands, flex at the pole, get supple. You know, and once you have that accomplished, well, you don't need to use it. You know, you can just use, you know, regular straight reins like you normally do. The horse, it's not going to make any difference to the horse, okay? So it's a good tool to use. I recommend it to anybody who's doing much training. You'll be glad you had it. Really helps the horse learn to give to your hands. Probably better than just about anything, really. All right. So once the horse is going good in this, we'll ride him with it in a while. And occasionally we'll get those horses that will get a little heavy, or we'll get a horse in that's older and his, you know, mouth is like iron. You know, it's really, really numb in the mouth. Those horses, I will go to either a standard twisted wire, which is a little on the thick side, but it's twisted, so it's abrasive. And some horses, I'll go to a thinner twisted wire. This one here that I'm holding, we'll have the camera come in close. This is the thin twisted wire. And you can see it's twisted, and it's loose ring, and it has the bit hobble on it. And I'll tell you what, you can really lighten one up with this twisted wire. But now you know, you've got to be, you got to pay attention to what you're doing. If you overdo it, you know, you can kind of, it's abrasive, so you can kind of soar a horse's mouth up. What I normally do, I'll usually ride them with this a day or two, and then, you know, get them responding with it, and then I'll go back to a milder snaffle, you know, either one of the smooth snaffles, okay? And this one's rigged with the German Martingale also. You know, again, it's a really good tool. And, you know, this pretty much covers just about all you're going to need to get your horse through the training process. Those 4 snaffle bits, you know, you're not going to need much more than that. Now, some horses, instead of the German Martingale, you might want to use a set of draw reins on some horses that are really, really stiff, and you need more leverage than what the German Martingale will give you. But I'd say 75, 85% of the horses, a snaffle bit rigged with the German Martingale, it's going to be just about all the training aids you're going to need. Okay, so, you know, that's pretty much, you know, the snaffles that I use to train. You know, if I had a horse that was, my horse that I wanted to improve his training, get him good in the mouth, you know, teach him advanced moves like side passing or stops or spins or anything like that. This is kind of the training kit that I would have. I would have the Browband Headstall. I'd have all 4 of those snaffle bits. You know, the thin twisted wire, the standard twisted wire, the smooth thin wire, and just the standard 7/8 inch snaffle. Those 4 snaffle bits, pretty much all you're going to need. I would definitely have German Martingale to use it when you needed it. Especially, I'll tell you the truth, especially when you're teaching spins and flying lead changes or lead departures, something like that. Anything where you're going to be, or just about anything new or that's a little more complicated than the norm, using this German Martingale will go a long way into helping you get the desired result that you want. Okay? All right. Well, that pretty much wraps it up. I hope this kind of kind of cleared up some of the confusion about snaffle bits and when to use them. Again, go to my website, horsetrainingvideos.com. On the homepage, you'll see, the article on what bits to choose, and it takes you through that bidding process. Pretty important that you go through that. All right? All right. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.